came off of NASCAR Turn 4. Mike Shank got on the radio and he said, "Man, you're on fire. You're on fire." And I'm like, I know. We're going so fast. This is incredible. This is crazy. And he's like, no, you're like actually on fire. Stop. I just thought he was talking about, we're hauling the mail and breaking records and we're on fire.
Colin, let's start off with this. If you're watching this interview on YouTube or Facebook Live, I've got a bone to pick with whoever shot this picture. Why are you in the back in this picture, buddy?
Well, I think when you have Indy 500 champions, Simon with 1 and Helio with 4, I guess those guys automatically go to the front. I think that's probably only fair, to be honest.
Yeah, but hold on a second. Who are the full-time drivers?
We're in the back, we're backing those guys up.
Oh,
Colin Braun, you've got more spins in a freaking sports car than any of those happy bastards combined. I think you and Bloomquist need to be out front. Let Helio and Simon just sit down there and just hope to be in the damn picture.
Hey, man, I'm not sure. I mean, Helio, he's got everybody on age as well. So, age before beauty, I guess.
Age before beauty. Can you put that picture back up there again? Who posed you guys? Because Helio's he's like, oh, it's like he's trying to get out of the picture real quick. Like, and then you've got this, hey, don't mess with me. I'm Colin Braun. Look.
And you got Simon looks a little bit like a Superman, kind of that Superman cape look. It's a good photo. It's a good photo for sure.
It is. Well, Colin, you guys were the talk the entire week, 2 weeks leading up to this, because you guys had figured something out. You guys, Wayne Taylor, and you guys figured something out that other teams, manufacturers with this new car did not. However, when it came to the race, you guys had gearbox issues. You truly thought the car might blow up. So again, I want to ask you, what did you figure out before the race? What did you figure out during the race to keep things going in the right momentum onto the win?
Well, that's a good question for sure. And, I think on our end, we just, no magic bullet, no big secret. No, we just really honestly did all of our sort of preseason testing, just getting used to the car, understanding the tools that we have in this GTP car. I mean, so many settings, so many things to adjust in the cockpit that change the balance of the car. We honestly didn't get a chance to really work too much on springs and bars and sort of those normal setup things you work on. And so maybe we got lucky because we didn't spin ourselves in a big circle. We just used the tools that, our Acura HPD car had, and we just focused on getting laps and trying to understand, kind of to optimize what we had and knew our limitations in the fact that, hey, we got to put miles on this. We got to learn how to drive it as is and just focus on, refining the small details we could rather than try to reinvent the wheel. And so I think that was a big part of it. And, these guys, I mean, man, at Meyer Shank, great team. They won the championship last year. They obviously won the race, the 24 Hours of Daytona race the year before. So I think we had good momentum. We had great chemistry. Me being new to the team, I got along with everyone well, and those guys really welcomed me in. And so I think when you have good chemistry and just a great group of people, good things happen.
Colin Braun, I want to say this, and this isn't a question, but I just want to say, all the insanity that people threw at you when you were racing in the trucks and Xfinity, you more than answered, told them to go someplace and kiss your tail, because you won 2 championships since then and drove the car 200 miles an hour at Daytona, which none of them will even get a chance to do because nobody will ask them. So congratulations on that.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, it's been it's been a wild career for sure. I feel like, between my first stint in sports cars, my stint at NASCAR, my last 10 years driving for Core Autosport in sports cars, and now, starting this new chapter with Meyer Shank. I mean, yeah, it's been for me, it's been a lot of fun. And, I think, I've enjoyed every piece of it and learned a ton along the way for sure.
So you got to tell me, I'm jumping in here on purpose, Kenny and Crash. Okay. You got to tell me what it's like to drive a Ford at 200 mile an hour plus I know you're in an Acura now, but 200 mile an hour plus, when you come off the banking, your eyes got to be bugging out of that helmet, and you can't be breathing. You ain't got time to breathe.
Man, they sure are. I'll tell you, we set that speed record around Daytona handful of years ago, actually with the Meyer Shank team. They were the ones operating the program. And so, yeah, I mean, we averaged 228 miles an hour around Daytona and set that speed record around there. Honestly, I thought it was going to be pretty easy. I mean, you know, these sports cars, they go 190, 195 miles an hour often on the road course setup at Daytona. So I thought, man, when we get to doing the speed run, we'll just crank the power up and we'll knock this thing out in no time. But I'll tell you, that extra 30, 35 miles an hour between 190 and 230 is a lot of effort. I mean, man, it's not like going 60 to 90. I mean, that's a huge step in speed and edginess and the feel and all of that. So yeah, it was definitely, a lot of, pucker moment and, just like, I hope this is over and it ends well. And thankfully it did. But yeah, quick funny story on that one too. We were actually testing down there to try to break the record, doing kind of the install laps and getting going. And on that car, it had a little speed indicator. And in sports cars, you never go really above 200. So it would max out at 199 miles an hour. And that's all it would say. And so we got to the point where we were going just above 200. So I knew we were getting close to beating Bill Elliott's record. I think it was like 211 or 212. And but I had no idea. I just knew we were somewhere above 199 miles an hour. Came off of NASCAR Turn 4. Mike Shank got on the radio and he said, "Man, you're on fire. You're on fire." And I'm like, I know. We're going so fast. This is incredible. This is crazy. And he's like, no, you're like actually on fire. Stop. I just thought he was talking about, we're hauling the mail and breaking records and we're on fire. But yeah, we actually had a little misstep and then got it back sorted out and came back a couple weeks later and broke the record.
What's it like to have somebody in your ear at 200 mile an hour plus? The last thing you got time to do is listen to somebody talk to you.
Yeah, I just heard the "you're on fire" part, and instantly, being the racer that I am, was like, "Oh man, we're doing great. We're probably breaking the record right now." The last thing I thought about was like, we're actually on fire. I never even thought that would be a possibility.
For whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
I mean, we're talking several years ago that this happened. Can you look back now and make any connection as to that's how you got your ride with Michael Shank now and as a Daytona or a 24-hour Daytona winner with the team now?
I think it's a part of it for sure. We had a good relationship. A couple of years before that, when I was doing NASCAR racing for Ford, Ford actually placed me with his team for the 24-hour race as well. So I've worked with Mike and driven for him a couple of different times and always had a massive amount of respect. I mean, what he's been able to build and achieve, particularly here in the last 3 or 4 years, has been incredible. And so, yeah, I think, all those kind of things help, being a presence in the paddock and always checking in and chatting with him. I think all those little pieces add up for sure.
Colin Braun, four-time Rolex 24-hour champion, including this year's 24-hour champion, joining us here in the Freak Nation. And you go through your resume, Colin, and you look at the teams that you've driven for. And again, it comes up in conversation with your NASCAR career. Is that door still open for a contract drive? Or is it just you just get your Jones off of turning left and right in a sports car?
Man, I got to tell you, driving that Acura GTP car is pretty darn fun. They're so fast in a straight line now. The downforce they make, the level of grip they make. I mean, man, it is a blast to drive. So, hey, I'm still open to anything, right? I'm a race car driver. I love driving race cars, whatever it is. All of the guys actually on the team were giving me a hard time for sort of having this reputation for jumping in and driving anything and everything.
Between the four of you guys, Colin Braun, four-time Rolex 24-hour champion, and be honest here, who had the better information on driving this race and this car, just from history of sports car racing?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think in the preseason, I would say Tom has done more tests. So he did a couple of tests before I got hired. And then obviously with Helio and Simon's IndyCar commitments, those guys weren't able to make all the preseason testing. So I would say Tom had a bit more, experience, a bit more time in the car, and was there from day one on the development side of the car. And then, second probably was myself. I got ingrained in there pretty early on and was a part of a lot of the, first few tests. And so, yeah, a lot of information though, man, these cars are complicated to drive. So many settings, so many adjustments, so many tools we have to change things with the hybrid system in play. I mean, it's awesome as a driver, and really that engineer driver relationship it takes it to another level, because we're not just talking about setup changes we can make between practices. We're talking about setup changes we can make on the lap for different corners with steering wheel adjustments.
Wow.
Yeah, you talk about tools, and we're talking about all this talent that you guys have in your driver's seat. Were there comparisons of Indy 500 rings to Rolex watches and what you guys are all wearing and bragging about?
Yeah, I mean, heck, we're all drivers and we're all guys, right? So I think at the end of the day, that stuff, always happens. I know Helio was super happy to be a 3-time overall winner in a row. And so he's won, the last 3 in a row. And I said, hey, man, I've won 4 of these things, though. And so, yeah, always those kind of bragging and debates. It's always a lot of fun.
Hey, moms, check this out. This is how we justify ice cream with the kids. You got to put them to work. They got to earn it. Stella, which Lucas Slickmas product are you working with?
I'm working with the tire and trim shine, which is amazing. Watch.
Oh, yeah, work it, girl. Henley, on the inside, which Lucas Slickmas product are you using?
I'm using the interior detailer. Watch.
Wow.
So easy.
See what I'm saying? Now, don't tell them, but Mom's got Speed Wax. Yep. That's the easiest one of them all, but they don't need to know that. Mom needs her ice cream too. So let's get to work. We got this. Yep. Lucas works.
So Colin Braun, Daytona 24-hour winner, Acura, fastest car in the race, and he drove it like he stole it from Meyer Shank. But let me ask you a personal question. Your brother writes for Hollywood, I understand. Is there a story in the Colin Braun story that we're going to see, and who's going to play Colin Braun in that movie?
Man, I know what Hollywood actors make in terms of salary. I think I want to be my own actor. That would be my deal.
You can play yourself, huh?
Yeah, but no, my brother, he works for Disney. He's actually written and created a handful of kids' TV shows, and he's got a new one coming out here in a couple of months. But yeah, he's massively successful out there in California, and does a great job and has a big career. A lot of people working for him and all that. So always fun to share stories and, talk about what's going on in that side of his world, which is crazily similar to racing at the same time. A lot of the same things that go on, a lot of the same challenges and whatever. So fun to be able to talk about that.
Well, one of his shows was somewhat car related, wasn't it? The name is escaping me now. It was maybe 6 years ago or so.
Yep, he did. He had one about kind of like a Herbie the Love Bug style concept with a car that was alive and was helping, the family out and that sort of thing. And so, yeah, he had that, and that was really successful. And then his last show was this show called Tots, which was really famous on Disney Channel here the last couple of years.
Hold on just a second.
Minute.
No, Tots was his?
Yep. Yeah, Tots was his whole show, created it, produced it, the whole thing.
Brother, who's his agent?
I wish it was me, darn it.
I know, right?
Oh, my gosh.
Our daughter got into Tots for a while. Holy cow. Shame on me for not looking at the credits there. Holy cow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Tots was cool. I
Yeah.
liked that one.
I sat next to your brother one year at the 24-hour, and we talked, and forget the race. And he was writing for magazines then. Had that transition from magazines into Hollywood. He sure made the right move. Are you committed to this, or are you going to follow on his coattails, and we're going to see Colin Braun as a producer in Hollywood credit.
Man, I don't think so. He definitely sucked up all of the creative aspects of the left and right sides of the brains. I definitely do not have any of the creative aspects. So we'll leave all that to him. He does a great job, and I'll stick with going fast in race cars.
Yeah, and you'll drive to go get lunch, huh?
Exactly. I'll be his driver one of these days.
So who will people in Ocala, Texas cross the street for first? Will it be you or your brother?
I think it depends on the demographic, right? I think if it's 6-year-old, 7, 8-year-old kids, probably him. I think if it's, folks that tune into the IMSA races, they might go my way. Yeah, I think together, though, we've probably covered quite a big demographic of people for sure.
Wow.
Do you still call Texas your home?
I do not. So when I started doing my NASCAR racing, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I've lived here ever since. Enjoy living here. It's convenient. It works good. I can get to the races real easy from the Charlotte airport. And yeah, I've enjoyed it.
Freak Nation. He's got 4 Rolex 24 hours. My goodness.
Those watches.
Yeah.
And not 4 wrists like we talked about off mic beforehand. So are they in a display case? Where are they? Does your wife have them?
That's a good question. She always takes it after I get off the podium and goes, "Ooh, maybe mine now." And so I broke down. I bought her one the last time I won, figuring if I had 3, she should have 1. And so she asked this year, she said, "Does that mean I get another one?" I'm like, "No, I think every 3 for me is 1 for you because I have to buy yours, which is way different." That's way different.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Michael Shank is paying you enough money to buy a Rolex for your wife? Man, that's a pretty
he
good
doesn't
deal.
need Hollywood.
Hey, it took me 18 years to collect 3 wins. So I saved up enough money over those 18 years.
So if I walk outside your house, who lives down the street that I would know? Who's your neighbor? Who's in your area? What cup driver, cup owner lives in the Colin Braun neighborhood?
Well, I don't live in a neighborhood. I live on 60 acres of land, not far from a pretty popular area that a lot of the Cup guys live. So a lot of them are close, and no, for me, I want property. I like having my tractor and my side-by-sides and dirt bikes and all that kind of crazy stuff.
So they live in your neighborhood. You don't live in theirs, huh?
Right, exactly. No, some of those guys.
You got 4 Rolexes, and they are happy to finish 20th in a cup race. So there ain't no comparison in that too.
It's not bad. I can't complain.
Nope.
He didn't take the bait stat, man. Wise choice there, Colin.
He doesn't need to.
The biggest racing series in America is coming to your town. The Enjoy Illinois 300, presented by Ticket Smarter. Get your tickets now at www.traceway.com. Brought to you in part by the Office of Illinois Tourism and Illinois South Tourism.
Last thing for it, Colin, the Clash happened this weekend, and it's such a unique track, and just the ability to come into a football stadium, put down some concrete, have a race, tear it up, and then 6 months later, you got the Trojans and the Bruins playing in there. Is there anything like that could happen in sports car racing where you lay something down temporarily just to show those folks who can't travel to Road Atlanta or Long Beach or wherever you guys are running? Is there any comparison to that in sports car racing?
Well, it's a good question. I don't think there is currently, but I do really think that something like that down the road could be a possibility. I mean, obviously, NASCAR owning IMSA, is a huge part of what could go on there. I mean, the Clash seems to be so successful and draw in a whole new crowd of people that might have not been fans of the sport before, that I could see that same concept, down the road potentially being applied to what we do on the sports car side. Certainly right now in IMSA, I think we've got a lot of momentum with the new cars, with the sustainability piece. I mean, they're really big on, how sustainable these cars are with the hybrid component, with Michelin building some tires that are able to go 2-3 stints in length. And so I think we've got a lot of really cool things that are going to pique a lot of interest of fans. And so the more we can get in those areas that might be harder to reach, I think only is going to do good things for our sport.
I'm sorry. The name or term hybrid, of course, to some people is still fairly new. When did you hear the word hybrid, and when did you get an inkling that it was coming to racing?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say the for me that was probably a handful of years ago. I think a lot of us in racing thought when the Formula E series came out, wow, what is this going to look like? How is this going to work in endurance sports car racing? And obviously, I think the ability to swap batteries and change batteries and be fully electric when you're talking about these long endurance races is a bit hard. And so the hybrid aspect is sort of the best of those worlds combined together. We're able to, utilize the energy, harvest the energy, deploy the energy, change all those things like we talked about with the tools in the car, and be more sustainable than ever. And so it's great for the OEMs, great for us as drivers and teams, a whole lot of new exciting things to learn about. And so I would say a couple years ago, I probably figured this was going to be a real thing, and it's been a blast.
Freak Nation, this guy's pretty special. Not only does he have 4 watches for winning the Daytona 24-hour watches, 4 Rolex. You don't even, that's right. You don't say watches, you say Rolexes, right?
Exactly.
Word watch.
It ain't a Timex, dude.
No. Well, buddy, it's great to get you back in the Freak Nation. Go out and win yourself another race, and we'll save a spot for you, all right?
Sounds great, guys. I look forward to coming back on. Thanks for having me.